Welcome in, everyone, to the New Orleans Saints training camp show here on CST. We are officially 2 weeks out from the Saints season opener there inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Welcome into the Saints training camp show for Sunday, August 30th. I'm Caroline Gonzalez alongside my co-host John DeShazier. JD, we know that the team didn't practice today on Sunday because they had a practice late last night inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. What did you see out of that practice from the team?
I didn't see anything. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was pretty much of a light walkthrough. They did some situational football, some 7-on-7, some, first down, second down, third down, but no contact, as Friday's practice was the full contact practice, basically some scrimmage-like situations. So, a good day for them to go through some situations, but also to preserve their bodies.
Well, Sean Payton spoke following practice last night inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome on what he saw out of the team.
Look, I thought it was a pretty crisp practice. We handled a few things. I mean, from the very beginning, just our pregame stretch and warm-up routine. It's the first time for a number of these guys going through that. But then it was more than just a warm-up. We got situationally a handful of 7-on-7 reps, and then team-wise, we got first and second down, third down, and some red zone work. Kickers and punters got here early just to get a chance to kick and punt. I thought the surface, I think we're further along. There was a couple of years where you come out here and it was a little sticky, a little thick, and I felt tonight was as good as it's been for the first night we've been on it. Every year there's a new surface that's laid down, and I thought tonight was really good.
JD, last night inside Saints practice, no fans, no noise, nothing like that. What was it like for you being inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome?
Well, hey, for me, I've been in there when there was practice with no fans, so, no big thing. For the players, it's something that they're probably going to have to get accustomed to. We know that, the NFL is in a situation where with COVID-19, we don't know exactly what the situation will be in terms of fan involvement. So there might be fans at some games. We know initially in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome for the regular season opener, there will not be fans in there. So it probably resembled a lot of what it will be on September 13th.
Well, Sean Payton spoke following practice about controlling what they can control, especially when it comes to games inside the dome.
We've been here and practiced here before with no fans. I told the team afterwards, look, I don't know exactly what it's going to feel like on game day. I can't control that. We can't control that. What we can control is our energy and our execution when it comes to playing. Will it be different? Certainly it will be. But I think in a season like this, you spend more time. You try to spend more time on the things that you can control as opposed to the things you can't. So I think that'll be a little bit of getting used to for every team in this league. And, again, you're lining up and still playing a sport you love. And I think the broadcast will be able to pipe in the acoustics that they need to. And so I don't think it'll be that noticeable for the fan watching on television.
Well, we all know that kicker for the Saints, Will Lutz, has been consistent for the Saints. He's had 65 field goal attempts inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. All of those were with fans inside the dome. Will Lutz spoke following practice yesterday about what it's going to be like kicking inside an empty Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
Every day is quiet during field goal period. There's not much going on. So it's normal in that sense, but, when you're in this big empty, 70,000 whatnot seat stadium, the ball sounds a little different coming off your foot. You hear the echo, you can hear people talking. So it's definitely different. It's a lot better having 75,000 hoodats yelling at you, but we're getting used to it.
All right, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll hear about the special teams for the Saints team and what makes them so special. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the New Orleans Saints training camp show here on CST. Welcome back to the New Orleans Saints training camp show here on CST. I'm Caroline Gonzalez alongside my co-host John DeShazier. JD, we know that this special teams has been formidable for the Saints for a few years now. What makes them so good and what makes them hone in on this special teams?
Well, they are a cohesive unit and they take it seriously, and that's the main thing with them. They've got a star-studded group. A couple of All-Pros in J.T. Gray, as well as Deonte Harris, and also a Pro Bowler and kicker Will Lutz. So they've got guys who individually can perform, but it's the unit that always makes it go.
Well, Darren Rizzi spoke earlier today on what makes his special teams so special.
You know, I'm very proud of the fact that those guys all had, got accolades last year. But really, when you look at the reasons those guys are getting the accolades is really because of everybody else. And they'll be the first guys to tell you that. All those guys are phenomenal individual talents. But, you go like with a guy like Deonte, it starts with the blocking and the 10 other guys that are doing their job for him. Will Lutz will be the first guy to tell you that it's the operation, it's Zach, it's Thomas, it's the protection. And then JT, same thing. JT is a guy that really flourished last year and took advantage of the other guys around him doing well. So, the ceiling for this group, and we certainly have our goals every year, is we want to go out there and no different than the offense and defense. We're looking to be the number one unit in the league, and it's been contagious. It really has. You start with our leaders, guys like Craig and guys like Thomas, our captains, and then got guys like Hardy and JT, and then you add a new guy like Deonte into the mix, and but there's a lot of guys that played well last year for us, and not just the guys that got the accolades. I mean, Dwayne Washington, his second half of the year last year, I thought was as good as anybody. We really didn't touch on Justin Hardy, who I think a lot of times draws a lot of attention, which frees up some other guys to make some plays, and that kind of goes unnoticed sometimes. And so, there's really a bunch of guys there. And I'll tell you what, I'm really, really proud of the leadership we have. I'm proud of the work ethic we have every day. And so, it's refreshing to go out there on the field every day and to have that mentality with those guys. And, it's just really, really, like I said before, it's really refreshing to go out there and work with those guys every day, because I watch on a daily basis how those guys work, and I know what their goals and their ceiling, what they're hoping to shoot for, so that's really impressive as well.
Well, all-pro returner for your New Orleans Saints, Deonte Harris, certainly made a name for himself on the Saints squad last year. He spoke earlier today about what makes this special teams unit so unique.
We got a great special teams coaching staff, and the players we buy in. We believe that it's a big part of the game, and it's a reason why we win a lot of games here. So, everybody bought into what the coaches are preaching, and, we just want to go out there and make plays and have fun.
JD, you were in practice last night in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome watching the special teams unit perform in there for the first time in an empty Superdome. What was it like for players like Will Lutz, who are going to have to get used to it for at least that first game?
Well, special teams guys usually get to the field first, whether it's home or road. And so they're usually on the field when there's nobody in the stadium anyway. Now, they're going to have to get accustomed to it. And the thing is, they're not accustomed to being out there with no noise during game situations. So Will Lutz and Craig Robertson, the linebacker, really came up with a unique way to go about their business. Craig Robertson and some of his teammates on special teams provide the noise, and Will Lutz determines whether or not he can flourish in it, and it seems to be working for both sides.
I asked those guys to do that. I think, we have to find a way to prepare for something that we don't really know what's going to happen right now. And I think, we don't know if there's going to be crowd noise. We don't know if it's going to be quiet. We don't know how much crowd noise, if any. And so we have to find a way to get better on a daily basis with what we think is going to happen. And so, when we're in here with, just us and another team, I would assume that every team's going to have tactics to mess with every position on the field. And so, without knowing what's going to happen, I'm doing the best thing I can to prepare personally. And, those guys want me to be on my A game, so they're going to do whatever they can to have me prepared. So there's no better person to do it than Craig Robertson.
I mean, he's the best kicker in the game. We did talk about that's the reason why we did it, me and Marcus, because obviously it's going to be a little bit different for kickers as well, right? That's something that people haven't thought of when there's no fans in the stands. It becomes a point of they have white noise. They don't really hear anything. Now they don't have that white noise. It's going to be an echo, playing in a Superdome where there's no people. So he's going to be able to hear, more taunting, more this, more that. So he's trying to find ways to, block it out and continue being the best kicker in the game.
All right, when we return, we will get into the roster moves made by your New Orleans Saints. You're watching the Saints Training Camp Show here on CST. Welcome back into the New Orleans Saints training camp show here on CST. I'm Caroline Gonzalez alongside NewOrleansSaints.com senior reporter John DeShazier. JD, I understand the Saints went through some roster moves yesterday. What were those roster moves?
Well, they added a couple of defensive guys and had to make some releases as corresponding moves. Always looking to turn over the roster, especially at the bottom of the roster, and look for guys who might be able to fit in some way on this team.
All right, well, head coach Sean Payton spoke on those roster moves last night.
Look, I think our objective was we signed a linebacker today, a defensive end today, and for us, we got a little bit of time here before our cut downs to look at some other players, and that was really the main goal. So we'll see how it unfolds. A few of these guys we've seen before, whether, in a practice environment with the Chargers. So it's really more of a chance to look at our depth and look at potential players that, if they're not active roster players, maybe they're practice squad candidates.
All right, thanks to John DeShazier for providing an analysis. As always, I'm Caroline Gonzalez. We will be back here on CST tomorrow for another edition of your New Orleans Saints training camp show as your Saints continue training camp. Thanks to everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.